Hello, I'm Jesse Keller, and welcome to the Your Song, My Song podcast. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Gabriel Berry. Gabe, how you doing?
Hello. How are you, Jesse?
Dude, I'm doing good. Got
Yeah,
pre-show jitters,
a little bit
and
of jitters.
yep, it's the first
Oh man,
episode. It's exciting,
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so happy that we're doing this. I came to the idea with you maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Said I
hmm
wanted to do a radio show. Then I looked at music licensing fees, and I was like, that's not going to happen. That is just not. That is so much money that we don't have. So I was like,
yes,
you know
very
what?
much so.
Let's do a podcast. And we workshopped it and we got a solid, I think it is a solid idea.
It's a great idea.
And here we are. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Your Song, My Song.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really crazy being here, I must say.
I know.
We've been wanting to do something together for like a year now.
Yeah, no,
Like we wanted to do something with movies, and then I went off and did that, and it just wasn't the right time. And then like I said last week, 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
you said this idea, and I was like, yeah, let's fucking do it.
yep. And here we are. And now we're doing it. And I am so excited to be doing this. At the top here, I just have a couple things I want to say to everybody. A little bit of housekeeping for everybody here. So Jesse's going to get into how the show works, but we have a link tree. If you want to follow us on Instagram at Your Song My Song _podcast.
YSMS underscore podcast.
YSMS _podcast. Excuse me. Which it'll be reminded in the outro as well. We have a link tree there. And from there, you can get links to all the sites where our podcast is hosted, as well as where you can find the playlist for today's topic. Which, Jesse, what is this show about? What are we doing here today?
All right, Gabe. Well, the show works as followed. Me and you, we both selected 10 songs, and we built a themed playlist about this week's episode. Out of those five, we chose out of those 10, we chose five of those songs to talk
Yes,
about
sir.
in a
Yep.
little bit more detail, no particular order. This week's episode is about our favorite artists.
Yes, sir, it is. Me and Jesse, this was the first thing we thought about, and we're both in agreement. I think this is the best way for you to get to know us, our audience, anybody who's coming here and listening to us the first time, even our friends, our family who might be
Our
coming here.
audience of probably one person.
Listen,
Thank you
right
for
now,
joining us.
I'm sure millions are listening to us. All right. No major world event happened this past weekend that needs to be spoken about.
Yeah, no, nothing.
Nothing important happened at all.
Mm-mm.
So you should all be listening to the show. But think of this as a musical charcuterie board.
Of
Okay.
getting to know us.
Yeah, it's getting to know us. All right. This is like a meat and cheese board of music. And in no particular order, we're both going to give you some music to listen to. And like I said, it's going to be in a playlist separate from this because we do not have music licensing rights. As much as I would love to play the music during this and listen to it with Jesse, and I'm sure Jesse would love to listen to it with me.
Yeah, that would
It's
be
just
great.
not in the cards. But maybe 5 years down the line when we have our Facebook moment and it explodes,
Yeah, someone sponsor us.
Yeah,
Give us some
exactly.
money for licensing music.
Exactly. Liquid IV, I'm talking to you. We need your sponsorship. You throw those things out. You give those things out like I don't know. I don't have an analogy off the top of my head to use. But
Well,
yeah. So, but yeah, no. Our favorite artists.
yeah, well, with that being said, Gabe, what is your first song?
What is my first song? Well, that is a great question, Jesse. I dug deep, all right? I went into my Spotify account. I looked at albums, I looked at songs, I looked at most played, okay? Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight really quickly. The way I designed this is the way I chose a favorite artist is not necessarily around a favorite song. It's how much of their discography I love.
I agree.
And that made it a little bit easier for me to kind of figure out what I like. So my first artist that I chose is Tame Impala.
Ooh,
And specifically Apocalypse Dreams off of Tame Impala's 2012 album Lonerism. It is the first single that was released off Lonerism back in 2012, and it's like the second of a two-part opener. The
Mm,
song before it is Ender's Toy. Um, Tame Impala, of course, Kevin Parker, One Man Wonder Kid, man from Australia, long hair Jesus himself, the man, the myth, the legend. He wrote this album when he was living in France. It is very much an album about isolation. It's about change. This song specifically is about change. One of my favorite lyrics from the song, the opening lyric from the song. This could
mm.
be the day that we push through. This could be the day that all our dreams come true. And I got to say, that
I love
line
that.
chills every time I hear it. The way and just the way that the song opens with this driving like snare drum and hi hat
Hmm.
combo. I love it. I love it so much. And the song is very dynamic. It builds. It has this little breakdown, kind of like in the middle to this. And again, another part it just always gives me chills is when the all the instruments come back in, the drums come back in this middle part. If you've heard this song before, you know what I'm talking about. When you go listen to the song, look out for it because it's a great song. It's also a running song for me. It is a excuse me. It's a song that I put on to warm up if I'm going to go for a jog.
Hmm.
Perfect BPM for jog. But I mean, I love this song. There's nothing much more for me to say about it. It's a song that's about worrying about your life, about change. Wondering if you're going to accomplish your goals and dreams.
Hmm.
Wondering if you're going to watch your life fade away, if you're going to do something with your life. I feel that it's a perfect representation of the existential crisis that myself and other young adults might face. Definitely, I have a ton of existential crises, and I believe this song definitely exemplifies that. But with that being said,
I
Jesse,
wait. I do before we move on. I do want to
yes,
just
yeah,
say I want to mention, off that album, my favorite Tame Impala song is Elephants. We were talking about this earlier.
excellent,
Um,
excellent track.
you know what? It's really weird. I don't know if you get this too, but with this album specifically,
Hmm.
I don't know. I can never get it out of my head. He kind of just has a sound that kind of emulates John Lennon.
His voice, it's
His
really
voice,
it's
yeah,
in the
it's his
voice.
voice. You hear
It's
it too.
his
Then,
yeah, it's his vocal registry. He does
hmm,
have a bit of a John Lennon voice. It's like if John Lennon and Pink Floyd had sex,
yeah, that's a good
and
way to
this is
describe it.
the baby
Hmm.
of that. I'd say there's a lot of Pink Floyd influence on there as well, but
Hmm.
no, for sure, he definitely has a vocal register similar to John Lennon. And Elephant is an amazing track. It's actually the second single off of
Yeah.
Lonerism. It's probably I would if I had to bargain a guess, next to The Less I Know the Better,
Hmm.
that is his most well known track. I mean, that
Hmm.
was my introduction to Tame Impala was that song.
Hmm.
And then listening to Currents and then going back and listening to Lonerism.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, that's a great song. That's also a great pick. But personally for me, it's Apocalypse Dreams. I highly recommend it. Uh, it is top three, if not my favorite Tame Impala song. There were maybe two other songs that I'm going to keep hidden because, maybe I'll save them for further lists. But yeah. Jesse,
Yeah.
now that I got that out of the way, now that I got my first song out of the way, what is your first song? I'm very interested to hear
All right.
what your
Well,
first song is.
my first song is "Less Than Zero" by The Weeknd.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
this song, the number 15 on The Weeknd's new album Dawn FM. Uh, dude, this song, it gets me. It gets me right in the feels.
Mm-hmm.
I love Abel Tesfaye, The Weeknd.
Yes.
Uh, this song is beautiful. Um, it's got deep lyrics to it about about the darkest truth that he has to face with himself,
Mm-hmm.
and not being good enough for his partner.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I could just listen to it on repeat and get a new type of emotion from it every single time.
Yeah.
We were actually me, you, and our friend Mike. We listened to the album as it was happening,
We
as it
did.
was being live streamed. That's the cool thing about this album
Yes.
specifically. He did a whole show for it as its premiere.
Yeah, like it was like a fake live DJ set on
Yeah,
Amazon Amazon Video. They did a live
yeah,
stream for it.
and it was on Twitch and everything. And this album is the sequel to After Hours, as I'm sure you're aware of. Um,
Yes.
After Hours, great album. It's got so many great hits on it. But for me, the weekends, Dawn FM specifically, Less Than Zero, one of my if it is my favorite weekend song, even though he's got so many great hits.
It's a great track, honestly. I was not expecting I really like Dawn FM. I am a
Hmm.
very base level weekend listener. I
Hmm.
like After Hours. I really started listening to him during Starboy because Daft
Yeah.
Punk did the production on that. One of our
Hmm.
you and me are one of our favorite artists when we were younger.
Hmm.
And I remember listening to that song for the first time and just being really wowed by it. The use of acoustic guitar,
Hmm.
the synths. It's a deceiving song. It's very upbeat, but
Yeah.
the lyrics are really dark and they are really
Hmm.
sad. And that's something that I love in songs is being deceived. Something that's really happy in tone,
Hmm.
but then, the lyrics, the underbelly of it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's something else. And I got introduced to the weekend actually from 50 Shades of Grey. Not the movie. I've never seen the movie,
Hmm.
but um, what 50 Shades of Grey, the first one. There's the uh, what's it called? The song
Worth it?
"Worth It." Yeah, "Worth It."
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and from that blew up beyond belief. And from there is when I found the weekend. And
Yeah.
since then, I mean, Starboy, I with Daft Punk,
Hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number five, Less Than Zero by The Weekend.
Nice.
Gabe, what's your number four?
My number 4 song. Again, I had to dig deep. And I'm going to tell you right now, this kind of breaks my rule
Mm-hmm.
because the last two albums of this particular artist, I'm not the biggest fan of. I like certain songs.
Mm-hmm.
But this album in particular is one of my favorites. And the artist I chose was Elliott Smith, in
Okay.
particular his song Ballad of Big Nothing off of his 1997 smash album. I mean, literally, I think when you think Elliott Smith, I mean, the following album, XO, had one of his big hit singles on it. But to me, this is the antithesis of Elliott Smith. This is if I were to show you, if I were to tell you, you need to go listen to one Elliott Smith album, it's going to be Either Or.
Mm-hmm.
This was the second single released from Either Or. Um, it is lyrically, it's ironic, it's self-deprecating, it's nihilistic. Um, and that's a lot of what Elliot writes about. He had a very screwed up life. Um, you can go look it up. I don't want to trigger anybody who might potentially be listening, but trigger warning. He he had a very messed up life. He had a very messed up childhood. He unfortunately died very young. And his last album came out 2005, I believe. But Figure Eight, that's the last album that he came out with. Then they had a posthumous release after that. I don't think I said posthumous. I don't know how to. I can't speak. I have dyslexia. Okay, I can't do this. All right,
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk like that. But this song in particular, it's about a disenchanted drug addict. Okay, it's about somebody who does not care. They have lost themselves into drugs. I'm not a drug addict, all right, but I love self-deprecating humor, lyrics. I'm not a nihilist, but in music, nihilism can be great, especially when you're sad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and normally, especially during this time of year when the sun starts to go away, I definitely like to whip this album out. But one of my favorite lyrics from the song is basically it's in uh, the chorus. It's the main chorus of the song. It's you can do what you want to whenever you want to. Um, it doesn't matter. Like nothing matters in this song. This guy who's being depicted in the song, it doesn't matter what they do. They've thrown their life away to drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I felt like I've thrown my life away because I would say I'm pretty happy right now. But there are points in my life where and I think everybody could relate to this too, where you possibly think that you've maybe wasted your life doing something, like your life is the big nothing. You
Mhm.
are the ballad of big nothing. And sometimes that's how that's how it felt in the past. Right
Mhm.
now, not the case. But and that's it. That it touches me on that level too. But yeah, I love this song. It's one of my favorites on the album. And it was very easy for me to pick too, because I think Elliott Smith, he is known, but I don't think he's known enough. I think more people should be talking about him. I think people should be talking about him as much as they talk about Nirvana,
Yeah,
personally.
see, I don't I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about Elliott Smith.
Hmm.
Hearing the song for the first time was new to me.
Yeah.
Never heard of him before. I mean, I've heard of him. I just never really heard his voice and
And what's
stuff
your
like that.
honest opinion as somebody who's, I mean,
I
you might have
I
heard
like
an
it.
Elliott Smith
It's
song, but
he's got a nice voice, and the song has got a very simple arrangement. That's what I
yeah,
appreciated most about it, and the nice guitar
yeah,
opening solo.
yeah.
But yeah, it seemed really nice. It's got some good lyrics, very meaningful.
In a
Um,
similar way to Less Than Zero,
hmm
it's
yeah,
upbeat.
especially
It's
with
really
the
happy.
upbeat, and it's got
Yeah,
this, it's got the acoustic guitar in there.
yeah. But underneath is just this layer of like, this is a song about somebody who has completely wasted their life
Yeah.
and is probably going to die on the streets, something like
hmm
that. So, but yeah, no. Ballad of Big Nothing is in my number 4 spot. Jesse, what is in your number 4 spot on this
All
list?
right. So this is probably not going to surprise anyone who knows me,
Okay.
but my number four is Joe. That's DJO for everyone listening.
All
And
right.
the
Yeah.
song is Roddy. It is
Okay.
it is his first single
Mhm.
ever to come out.
Yep.
It was released July 19th, 2019.
Mhm.
And some of you may have heard of the little show called Stranger Things. And
Never heard of it.
no, oh, okay. So it's this Netflix show, right?
Okay.
And anyway, there's this actor on the show. His name is Joe Keery.
Mhm.
He plays Steve Harrington. And one day I was just scrolling through my Instagram feed and I saw this cryptic post, and it was just like this beautiful like breakdown in a song. I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. And then a couple days later, I found out that he released a song under this name Joe, and since then I've loved his music. About 2 months after this song came out, he dropped his first album, 2020. Um, One of my favorite albums of all time. People might think it's strange to say like one of these new songs that's like by an artist is like one of your favorite, but he's got quality stuff. Uh, I just can't say enough about his music. Uh, because we're gonna eventually talk about actors that have music careers, and a lot of them aren't that great.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: a lot of them
Yeah.
aren't that great.
A lot of them are Jeremy Renner.
What?
Jeremy Renner. Guys, whatever you do, do not look up the song Main Attraction by Jeremy Renner. Unless that's your thing, I'm not bashing you, but just
Yeah.
saying, yeah, no.
Well,
There are a lot of actors out there who definitely have not great music careers, and there's some who actually do have uh actually really cool music careers. They
Gabe,
put some
I
music
think
out.
you could agree with me though. Joe is up there with one of the best, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Of
Yeah, no. I
actors with
think
music
I
careers.
think out of actors with music careers, and not the other way around, not music artists who became actors,
hmm
okay? Out of actors who have music careers uh outside of their acting, I think Joe is one of the best for
hmm
sure, absolutely. I love Roddy too, man. It was a great single. I remember it blew me away when it came out.
Dude,
Um
I remember playing it for you for the first time. Do you remember what we were doing? Because I do.
I think we were driving, right?
We
We
were
were in the
so
we
you
we were
picked
in your
me up.
car?
You
Okay.
picked me up, and
Yeah.
we were going to Buffalo Wild Wings
Oh god.
with the rest of the crew.
Okay.
And I was just like, Gabe, I got to show you this song. It's pretty dope. And you're like, okay, well, like, what is it? And I said, I'll tell you later. And then we play the song. It's got the great opening, right? You're trying to guess who it was,
Yeah.
and then the breakdown happens, and you're like,
Oh my god, yeah.
"Oh my god!" And then you freaked out of the song, and it got me super excited because I was like, "Oh my god!" Like it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then you were like, "Who is this?" And I told you, and like I just saw like your mind kind of like explode. You're like, "Oh my god, this is him."
It was a mind-blowing moment because that breakdown, the second
Hmm.
part of Roddy, is so good.
Yeah.
It's so awesome because the song is like, it takes like a traditional kind of like indie bedroom pop,
Hmm.
indie rock kind of like, like I'm trying to explain it, but it's a little traditional. It's not bad. It's really good. The instrumentation, the guitars, everything. The writing is really great, but the
Hmm.
breakdown when the song just switches up is
It
absolutely.
really
It's
blows your mind every
yeah,
single like if I could go back and listen to it for the first time again,
yeah,
I would cherish that moment. I still cherish that moment.
yeah.
Um, but I'm super excited because his new album after like 3 years, it's called Decide.
Hmm.
It's coming out next week,
Oh
or
boy,
actually this week,
yes,
when
yes,
this
yes.
episode drops. It comes out on Friday, September 16th. Um, Pretty good so far. They just released another single. Um, I really just can't wait. I was supposed to go see him this coming weekend, but he canceled his tour.
Well, if you remember,
Um,
Jesse, we did see him.
we did see him though.
We're maybe one of a few. Like I would have to guess less than 1,000 people.
Well, he did
Who,
do a lot of
he did a couple.
festivals this
He did a
summer.
couple music fest. Okay, fair enough.
So
But
he did
still,
Lollapalooza.
we saw
So
like his second live performance when he
yeah,
played. I have the poster on my wall in my
me too.
office next to me. At was it Williamsburg Hall in Brooklyn.
Yep, it was
Uh
December 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. It was no. Yeah, it was actually. It was December 11th. I just moved to Pennsylvania. I
Hmm.
live in PA. I moved. I drove out back from PA, to New York, and I slept on an air mattress in your house, and we
Yeah,
went to go see the show
with
in like the
Kyle.
dead of winter, and it was the last show we saw right before the shutdown too.
Yep, yep.
But no, that was a great show. It's a great moment. I
We
love
were
Roddy
right. We were
too.
right up front. We were right up front for that show, which
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yep. We were right.
Uh,
We got barricade, which was sick, and
we met our friend Kelly. She's probably
yes.
not listening, but hey, Kelly, if you're listening, it was
Yeah.
good to meet you then.
Yeah, Kelly, thank you. I got a little drunk and definitely did a little raving for
Yeah,
Big Shrimp, who was the opener.
yeah, he was
Danced
good.
a little bit. It was great.
That
It
was
was a great
that's
time.
his that's Joe's friend Jake Hirschland, I think is his name.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Didn't know
he's
that.
part of Post Animal.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
That's sick.
yeah, and
Love
Joe
that.
was also for people who don't know, Post Animal, an alternative rock band. Joe was a part of their band for a very long time until Stranger Things came out and he wanted to like separate himself. Instead of just being like the Stranger Things guys band, it's still Post Animal, and that's why he went off and did the Joe Project.
I never knew that. That's
Yeah,
so humble. I
yeah,
mean, that's sad because yeah, that's how it would have been. And
hmm,
unfortunately, Post Animal's a great band and they can
they
stand
are.
on their own. But I didn't know that.
Hmm.
That's fascinating. I honestly I already thought Joe Keery was a great guy, but definitely that bumps him up on my list. That's not an easy thing to do to walk away from something you love like that with your friends.
Yeah.
That's not easy, but
Hmm.
yeah, man, that's good guy Joe Keery. We love Joe Keery.
We love Joe.
Yeah.
But that's my number four. So what do you got next, buddy?
Oh, my number 3 spot. Um well, there's this little band that I discovered in high school.
Hmm.
Um, I love them. They're unabashedly, I would say they're in my top 3 bands of all time, and that's probably why they're in the number third spot.
Hmm.
It's a little band. There's this front man. His name's Joshua Homme.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and he's the front man of Queens of the Stone Age, which is my third artist. Specifically, I chose If Only off of Queens of the Stone Age 1998 self-titled album, one of the best
Great
self-titled
song.
debuts. Now a little bit about Josh Homme for you. For those who don't know, he was actually the guitarist in a little known band called Caius. You might know them as kind of like the godfathers of stoner rock, amongst other bands. And after Caius broke up in the mid 90s, Josh split off,
Mhm.
and he actually started a band originally called Gamma Ray. And If Only was originally called If Only Everything. There is an alternate version of this song, the OG version of it, that's on a split EP. It's called the Gamma Ray EP.
Is it
Um,
streaming?
I don't think it's on streaming. There's a lot of Queens of the Stone Age deep cuts that are not on streaming.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say this is a deep cut, although it's not played live. I wish it was played live more often by
Mhm.
Queens. But it is on YouTube. I highly recommend you go up and you listen to it. It is a different song. You can definitely hear what was kept and what was changed, but it's really cool to hear kind of like this proto version of If Only.
Mhm.
But anyway, Josh was sued by a German band also known as Gamma Ray, so he decided to change the name to Queens of the Stone Age, and the rest is history. In terms of lyrics, I have no idea what the song is about, other than that it's like vaguely drug related, which
Mhm.
is like 90% of Queens of the Stone Age's lyrics, which I love. Um, and why I chose it is this is a great album. It's got a bunch of great songs on it. You have the opener, Regular John. You have Avon. You have Walking on the Sidewalks. You have Mexicola. Uh, a lesson in what's it? How to Handle a Rope. A lesson in Lariat. You Can't Quit Me, Baby, which was the song that I was about to choose. But in the back of my head, this song is my favorite off this album. It's driving. It's sexy. Josh Homme's so good at doing that, at making you dance. This
Mhm.
guitar, the way that the guitar goes, it's almost like Stooges like. The Stooges, almost like I Want to Be Your Dog. Um, it has this tambourine drum combo. The drums are so tight. I love it. It's not the strongest lyrical
Mhm.
Queens of the Stone Age song, but in terms of how it makes me feel, every time I put it on, I just want to get up and fucking boogie.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I love If Only. I love Queens of the Stone Age self-titled. Controversially, I'm gonna say it. I love it more than Songs for the Deaf. I know Songs for the Deaf is like their magnum opus.
Yeah,
I
I
love
have to
Songs for the
disagree.
Deaf, but I think the self-titled is one of their best albums.
It's a good album. It's a good album. I don't know. I'm so attached to songs. It's such a beautiful album. It's
Yeah,
so good. This song in particular, if only they really should play this live. They should. Do they play? I see. I didn't go with you guys to see Queens of the Stone Age.
yeah.
Do they play anything off the first album?
So I've seen Queens live twice. Me and our friend Dylan. I dragged him with me to MSG when they were doing the Villains tour back in 2017, and
Mm-hmm.
they did Mexicola.
Okay.
Uh, that was the only one they did. And then when we went to Rochester, me, Dylan, Mike, and Hunter in 2018 at the kind of like tail end of the Villains tour, they went to
Mm-hmm.
Rochester, and I was like, screw it. I want to go up. I want to go see them. They sound checked Regular John. We got there like 6 hours early because I wanted barricade.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a really funny story about that show. I had one of the worst bouts of food poisoning, or I had like a stomach bug
Uh-huh.
that practically ruined that trip, and I was on death's door. I went into a Chinese food restaurant right up the street from this venue in Rochester, and I just casually walked in.
Mm-hmm.
It's very busy. It is
Yeah.
a Friday afternoon, filled with a bunch of old and middle-aged white people and their families.
Yeah.
I go into this bathroom and I do things that could only be described as crimes against humanity.
I'm sure.
And I didn't even order any food.
That's
It
horrifying.
was so bad. We tried to get hot dogs earlier in the day,
Uh-huh.
and I really wanted to get a garbage plate because it's Rochester and that's what they're famous for. They're famous for this thing called the garbage plate. Look it up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It looks really tasty. I love food. All right. I couldn't even do that. I was just like kind of like nauseous, and I was having like diarrhea the entire time. TMI, but whatever, and yeah, and I
Thanks.
nearly died waiting in line for that show. There's a very sassy security guard that gave Dylan shit for
Mm-hmm.
bringing gum in and was about to kick his ass off the line
Mm-hmm.
over his gum in his headphones.
I
But
love it.
it was a great show. They're great live. I hope they go on tour
I would
again.
love to see them. I would
Um,
love to see them.
for sure, when they go on tour, we're gonna go. I will go to every date that's on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
They recently Josh put out a new song, although it's not confirmed if it's a Queens of the Stone Age song. It's credited as being one. But it's called Black and Blue is the Best I Can Do, and it's off of the Anthony Bourdain documentary about the late Anthony Bourdain called Roadrunner. It plays at the end of the movie. It is awesome. It is a sick track. It's like a return to form for Queens of the Stone Age.
Mm-hmm.
I love Villains. I think Villains is a great album. I don't think Queens of the Stone Age has a bad album. That's another thing that makes them one of my favorite bands. But um, Villains is not their strongest. It's definitely their weakest album. It is a change up. I think it is still really good though. But this is like a return to form for like it sounded to me like a little bit like Era Vulgaris, like even a little earlier. Like I don't want to say rated R, but like I'm talking like 2005, 2007 Queens, which for some people isn't strong era for them either.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I was like, this song is awesome. It's not on streaming either. You can look it up on YouTube. Black and Blue is the best I can do. But yeah, love Queens of the Stone Age. I love If Only.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, with that being said, okay, my number 3 out of the way, what is your number 3, my friend?
Well, I also want to add
Oh, okay. Yes, please.
thank you to you.
Yes.
I was introduced to Josh Homme in a different way. You showed me uh, Eagles of Death Metal,
Oh my God. Yes. Eagles of Death Metal.
which I love them.
You
They
know, I'm amazed they're not on this list, right? You
no
didn't put Eagles of Death Metal
no
on here? I didn't
they're a
even think
great
about
band.
that. They
They're
are great.
Josh and Jesse,
Yep.
Boots Electric and Duck. What's his name? What is Josh's name?
Baby Duck.
Baby Duck.
Yeah,
We got Barricade for them too. They were great.
we did. Josh wasn't there,
No, Josh was not there.
but Jesse, he puts on one hell of a show. Jesse
Oh,
Hughes
he's
is great.
a great showman. But anyway,
Yes, your number 3rd song. I'm sorry, Jesse.
no,
My
you're good. You're
apologies.
good.
But what is your number 3 song on this
It
list?
is Benny and the Jets by Elton John.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
That is that. What a selection.
Yep.
What a song. What a song.
It's probably his most beloved song amongst just pop culture and people who know Elton
You,
John.
you'd say you
But
really over
I think
over
so. Either
Rocket
that or
Man or
you
even
know what?
like I
Maybe
think
Rocket
Rocket
Man.
Man. Yeah, I would
Maybe
think Rocket
but
Man
I
is
feel
like
like
his.
those two kind of go are are both his like two biggest, and maybe Crocodile Rock. But anyway,
Okay.
um, Benny and the Jets, one of
Yes.
my favorite Elton John songs, released in 1973
Mhm.
off the album "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road,"
Yes.
uh, which is also the name of a song on the album, and it's a magnificent song as well. Um, there's nothing I can't say about this song. I have a vivid memory as a kid uh, hearing this song in this is really weird, but in the movie 27 Dresses. I don't know if you've ever heard of that
I
movie.
I I've heard of it. I don't think I've ever seen it though.
Okay, there is personally to me, it's like an iconic scene of the main characters are in a bar and they hear the song, and there's the girls are saying the wrong words, and then they get up onto they make the whole bar dance to Benny and the Jets.
Okay.
Always picture that in my mind, like being in a bar and kind of getting everybody to sing Benny and the Jets with me. But the song, it's about like greed and the glitz of the 70s, like the music scene in the 70s. And we some of you may know Bernie Taupin, or Tapin, however you want to say it.
Yes.
He's Elton John's like co-writer of all his
Mhm.
lyrics. He kind of described that Benny is the leader of this band, right?
Mhm.
And he basically describes her like flashy wardrobe,
Yeah.
and that's the lyrics. She's got electric boots and a
Mhm.
mohair suit.
Yes.
Now, I don't know what a mohair suit looks like. I should have looked it up.
Yeah, you should have
But
looked it up. I have no idea what a mohair suit is. I'm going to imagine it's something. When did this song
let's
come
say
out?
maybe
70s, right?
suede or something really flashy.
Yeah,
That's
it's got to be something really flashy. I'm thinking with a deep V-neck,
mhm.
something like that. But
But this song is actually ranked 371 out of 500 on Rolling Stone's like greatest songs of all time list.
should be higher.
Should be higher,
It should be
but
way
I
higher.
mean, think about all the songs that come out since God knows when. 371 out of 500. It's not that bad, you know?
Personally, uh, next to Rocket Man,
Hmm.
this is my favorite Elton John song, and I'm very happy that this is what you chose. You could have chosen a bunch of Elton John songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I half expected you to choose "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road."
Hmm.
I'm not surprised that you chose something off of it, but I'm glad that you chose Benny and the Jets. I love Benny and the Jets so
Yeah.
much.
I
The
also I want to shout out the album. um I'm drawing a blank now.
It's okay.
The Captain Fantastic and the Dirt Brown Cowboy.
Yes,
You know that album, right?
I do. I do. That's
Okay.
like, isn't that like the spiritual successor to? It's kind of like the sequel album.
Yeah, ish. It's the second album after Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Hmm.
Um, but that album's such an amazing album too. It's got Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, the cover of a Beatles song.
Yep.
And it's got Philadelphia Freedom.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, Elton John is one of my favorite artists of all time with Benny and the Jets.
Benny and the Jets is an iconic song. Um,
It is,
that
especially that.
piano,
Yep, the piano, the
the
opening of the
piano,
piano.
the way Elton John is one of the best
Hmm.
piano players of all time, I think,
Hmm.
and just that song alone, that just that opening, dun dun
Hmm.
dun 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 dun,
Yep.
lives forever in my head. It is. I'm so glad you picked that. It's
Yeah.
such a. It is. It's. I wouldn't say. I don't know if I'd say it's a lot of people's first choice for an Elton
All
John
right.
song. It definitely would have been mine, though. I'll tell you what.
Hmm.
For sure. Um, but it's actually. It's funny that you say that. Because that will relate to my next song, Jesse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it?
Well, for my number 2 song, um, I chose a man, a myth, a legend. We're gonna go back here because a lot of music I'm talking about is more modern-ish,
Hmm.
90s into the 2000s, 2010s.
Hmm.
This is more classic rock. I chose David Bowie. Um,
Not
I,
surprising.
I love David Bowie. Anybody who knows me knows that I love David Bowie. I think that he is one of the most influential and important musicians who ever lived.
Hmm.
And in in specifically, I chose Starman in my number
Oh,
2 spot off of the Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust.
beautiful.
His seminal 1972 album, an album that has shook the earth, that has changed the waves of time.
Hmm.
Okay, and I'm not understating that. All right, this song is cited as a major influence in the creation of glam rock. Okay,
Hmm.
when David Bowie went full glam rock, uh, and this was actually his first major hit uh, since Space Oddity, which was like his number one
Yeah.
song that kind of propelled
I'm
him.
surprised you didn't pick that song.
No, I like Space Oddity.
Hmm.
It's a good song. I think it's a little overplayed.
Hmm.
Um,
It is.
it is a good song. Don't get me wrong. I think it's really good. I love the kind of like breakdown at the end of it where it gets very cosmic.
Hmm.
I love the lyrics. I actually love uh it kind of almost like a sequel song to it. It's called Ashes to Ashes. It's off of Scary Monsters and Nice Things, it's an album way later down in the discography. But I love there's a line off that song that's really great. Ashes to ashes, funk to funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie. Uh,
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
it's like the sequel to
Hmm.
Space Oddity, kind of catching up with Major Tom down the line. The music video is also super creepy.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I love the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust. There were a number of songs I could have chosen off this album.
Moon Age Daydream being one of
Moon
them.
Age Daydream, yes, is a great song. But this
Suffragette City.
when we were putting this list together, this was the first song that popped in my head.
Hmm.
This is my favorite David Bowie song by a mile. And I love most of what this man has done,
Hmm.
from even some of his stuff that's not so great. And it's funny that you said, it's really funny. It occurred to me when you were talking about how Bernie Taupin wrote Benny as this leader of the band,
Hmm.
because as most people know, Ziggy Stardust is a concept album, and Ziggy Stardust is the leader of a band called the Spiders from Mars.
Hmm.
um I could have chosen the song Ziggy Stardust. That was probably my second behind Starman. But Starman, it's a happy song. It is a hopeful song. It is a song in the middle of an album that is all. If you read lyrically, I wrote in I had a class in college about the history of rock, and our final was to write an essay about one of our favorite albums. And I wrote an essay about this album. I did a deep dive into lyrics, into the background of it, and I could tell you right now, this is the happiest song on this album. Because if you read the lyrics from the rest of the album, it is kind of sad, especially how the album ends. Spoilers: Ziggy's fans kill him. The last
Oh.
song is called Rock and Roll Suicide, and
Hmm.
he gets literally ripped apart on stage
Hmm.
by his fans.
I love that.
It's an excellent song. That's also a great song. But Starman's the happiest song. It's
Hmm.
hopeful. It makes me feel like a small child. It makes me feel the lyrics,
Wondrous. It's very
there's a
wondrous.
starman. Exactly. It's very wondrous. There is a starman waiting in the sky.
Yep.
Okay. Like, it makes me it reminds me of, man, God, I should have looked this up. There is a great movie. I think it has Kurt Russell in it, where he plays an alien who has come to Earth, and he took the body of somebody, and he's living. I want to say the movie is called Starman, but please don't quote me on that.
Hmm.
But it kind of almost reminds me that it's just about it's about, I would say, it's a hopeful song. It's a hopeful tune. It's like, we have discovered this otherworldly being, you know, which, in this day and age might be the one thing that could unify us on the planet, is discovering alien life. And yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it other than that. I love this song. It's a karaoke track
Hmm.
for me. I
It,
would,
you know what? It was
yeah.
also used really great in the recent trailer for Disney Pixar's Lightyear.
Yes, yes,
Um,
wholeheartedly agree.
oh my god, when I first that I saw that trailer first in the Dolby theater,
Hmm.
and when just the way they like remixed the song to kind of have less instrumental elements and more just the lyrics,
Yep.
it really like it almost brought like a nice like tear to the eye of like how emotional it is, especially with the story of Buzz Lightyear, like how they represent it in the movie.
Yeah.
But the song really hit super hard, and every time I would go to the movies and they would play it, I would just get the chills every time I'd hear that song.
And it's such a great choice, especially surrounding the themes of that movie. It is a song about exploration. It
Hmm.
is a song about the wonder of space. Space can be a scary place. My girlfriend doesn't like space. I
Yeah,
love space. I think
space is cool.
space, the final frontier. Okay, like they say in Star Trek, it is the final frontier. It is expansive, it's scary, but it's also wondrous. It's beautiful. I think Starman captures that. It captures some of that wonder, especially in like because the song is really from the perspective of like two kids who find the Starman.
Hmm.
So and I think it definitely it's about the future. It's about the wonders of space. It's about the Starman. You know, I
Starman.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add, Jesse? Because I keep feeling like I cut you off every
No,
time. But
no, no, you're good, man.
okay.
I tried looking up the movie for you. I can't find it in the
I
amount
will
of
look it
time.
up, and when we reconvene next week,
Hmm.
I will have it for you, and we will be able to talk about it because I know there is a
Yeah.
movie that's like that, and I'll have to look it up.
The thing I want to say about Bowie
Hmm.
is two words:
Yes,
under pressure.
yes,
I That is my favorite song, and I know that's a Queen and Bowie thing
yes.
on a Queen album. But when I think of David Bowie, I think of that song.
You want to
And
know the story behind that song?
yeah, sure, tell me.
Um, so Queen, I'm pretty sure this is how it goes. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Queen realized that making their songs in England at the time was
Hmm.
costing them way too much money in taxes. They were having to pay a lot of taxes, and when you're a rich person, okay, you don't like paying taxes.
Nope.
As we've known, excuse me, I'm just adjusting here in my chair. Um, Freddie Mercury was good friends with David Bowie, and David Bowie offered for them to come out to his studio. I think it is in France to record away from the English government, so they don't have to pay taxes. And I'm
I
pretty
like.
sure I don't know what they were both working on albums at the time. I think this was during the Low trilogy for Bowie, but at some point they crossed over in the studio, and
Hmm.
this is how we got Under Pressure, which I agree is a Bowie classic. And then let us not forget, Jesse, that it was how you say borrowed by a nice man called Vanilla Ice for a
Wait,
song
Vanilla Ice from that one movie?
from. Are you
Uh,
talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2,
yeah, yeah.
The Rise of Shredder, or whatever it is?
The ooze, the secret of the
The
ooze.
Secret of the Ooze. Yes, go ninja, go ninja, go. Yes, that very own Vanilla Ice. But that a lot of people know that story. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah,
Great uh mishap of the 90s.
and
The
the cool
sampling.
and the really good classic movie, Vanilla Ice, Cool as Ice.
Cool as Ice, yes.
That's a
Vanilla
great
Ice.
movie too.
And Vanilla Ice of Vanilla Ice makes Amish furniture. Look it up. It's a real thing. He had a show where he's an interior decorator. I'm not kidding about
I feel
that.
bad for those people who bought
Uh,
furniture from him.
I feel bad for the people who went out of their way for Amish furniture. And then
One fat ass
imagine,
is gonna sit on a chair and fall.
yeah, imagine you buy a piece of Amish furniture that's made by Vanilla Ice. Oh man, but yeah, yeah, man,
This has
love.
nothing to do with David Bowie, but I
It
love
has
it.
nothing to do with David Bowie, but we're so far removed. But yeah, man, Starman is in my number 2 spot. I love it. Jesse, it's your turn. What is in your number 2 spot?
It is the classic "Lonely Boy" by the Black Keys.
Amazing choice.
Yes, sir. Uh, it's their lead record, their lead single off the record El Camino from
Yes,
2011.
yes.
Ah, that song. It's got such a a nice meaning to it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's it's about a man who sees himself better than this girl that he's falling in love with, but she doesn't ever show him any interest. But the thing is, he keeps going after her. He keeps wanting her. He doesn't know why, but he just keeps falling for her.
Yeah.
And the song won the Black Keys for best rock performance
Mm-hmm.
at the Grammys, and also best rock song, which is really cool.
Yeah.
They were also nominated for another a Grammy that year for the song, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Oh
But the
man,
Black
that's
Keys,
oh god, off of El Camino. Because I'm
yeah,
getting it confused with Brothers. Because those two albums have like their hits
yeah.
on it. But anyway, as you were saying,
I was supposed to see them at Jones Beach in August of 2020.
oh god,
Now, for people who don't know or live under rocks, there was this little thing called the pandemic that happened, and I bought my tickets in, I want to say, maybe January of 2020.
oh yeah,
Um, Spent like $180 on one ticket.
Mm,
I got two other tickets for a few of my other friends, and I was devastated when they canceled the show. Obviously, everything went to shit, so I couldn't feel too bad. But yeah, I was supposed to see them then, and then I wanted to see them again this summer. But instead of seeing them, I saw Paul McCartney. I spent like $200 on Paul McCartney.
I gotta be
Um,
real. Gotta be real, Jesse.
what?
Love the Black Keys, but Paul McCartney is
Well, Paul
more of
McCartney's the better choice to go see
yeah,
live, especially
absolutely.
you never know, he's getting older, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but Black Keys, this is my favorite song by the Black Keys,
Hmm.
especially with that rock solid opening.
Yeah.
Um, but my favorite album is actually Let's Rock, which is one of their newer albums. It's from 2019, if
Hmm.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Um, I could listen to that whole album front to back, and it's a beautiful album. But I think Lonely Boy is the meaning of the song also is what gets me to love it even more.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you have to say about Lonely Boy?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to speak on Let's Rock. Listen,
Hmm.
it's a decent album. It's a decent record. But for me, I love the Black Keys. I think they're great. I think Dan
Hmm.
Auerbach and
Patrick Carney.
Patrick Carney, who I once saw live in person. Um, he was walking out of Webster Hall because his wife, Michelle something, I can't remember, was having a show. Me and Dylan went to go see Declan McKenna in the basement of Webster Hall, and we saw Patrick Carney in the street, and I shouted out, is that Patrick Carney?" And he is tall. He's a tall individual.
Yeah,
And
he's
he
tall.
turned and looked at me, and then like as soon as other people started looking at him, hightailed it down the opposite side of the street, going away. Um, but uh Let's Rock, not my I'm not a huge fan of that album.
Hmm.
It's like Pepsi commercial music, like the second half of it.
Oh, how
But
dare
we're
you,
but we're not talking about Let's Rock. We're talking about Lonely Boy.
Lonely Boy.
uh, El Camino is a great record. Lonely Boy is a great song, although sometimes I feel it's a little overplayed. It was used in a lot of movie trailers. A lot of movie
Was it
trailers.
really?
I think so, yeah.
I've
Uh,
never heard it in any movie trailer.
it was definitely used. I could tell you right off the top of my head, it was used in the movie trailer for Dark Shadows. I
Oh,
remember that they
yeah, I never
used
saw
it.
that movie.
Yeah, the Donnie Jepp. No, the Johnny Depp lead is the remake of an old TV show where he
Hmm.
played a vampire, the head of this family, the Collins
Yeah.
family. But yeah, no, I love Lonely Boy. I think Lonely Boy is a great song. It's such a solid track. I love the chorus. Dan Auerbach does great harmonies. And even though the Black Keys have added a little more instrumentation, because if you've listened to the early Black Keys, it was just Auerbach and Carney. It
Yeah.
was just the two of them. And I love a lot of their earlier work. Rubber Factory is probably my favorite Black Keys album. It has a bunch of great songs on there,
Hmm.
especially for a two-person rock band. They're one of the best two-person rock groups out there, or were, because now they have a bigger band. But that happens. That's the evolution of things.
Yeah, of
I think
course.
on El Camino as well, if I'm not mistaken, there's an opening track. I'm pretty sure it's the first track. It's Little Black Submarines.
No, that's actually four.
Is
That's
that the
actually
fourth
number.
track?
Yeah, no, Lonely Boy is actually the opening track.
I do love Little Black Submarines.
Yeah.
When me, Mike, and Dylan did music together many, many moons ago, and we did a little show called Summer Jam in your
Yep.
backyard. If
Hmm.
you'll remember, we opened with Little Black
I
Submarines.
do remember that.
Dylan
Yeah,
turned me on to that song. It
that
was,
was a great opening for you
yeah,
guys.
no.
Also, Gold on the Ceiling is on that album. That's
Is
another great
I
song.
thought Gold on the Ceiling was on Brothers.
Nope,
No,
Gold on the
that's
Ceiling is on El Camino.
is on El Camino too. Yeah, Gold on the
Hmm.
Ceiling is Howlin' for You on Brothers then, or is that
Yes,
also
Howlin' for
okay?
You is on.
Howlin' for okay, because I got confused. I thought those two were on the same, but Gold on the Ceiling is a great track as well.
Yeah,
Although I would say that might be a little more overplayed than Lonely Boy. It has that
and
album
they
has all their hits on it.
and
But
they did a 10th anniversary release for El Camino.
yes,
it's actually really sick. They got a bunch of live performances. I think BBC sessions.
Oh, like what? Like John Peel sessions or
I'm not sure. I know it says BBC
okay, I'm gonna have to
sessions.
check that out. That sounds
It's
really cool.
it's really cool. I
Yeah.
think yeah. There's like a I think it's like a 3 hour long like like album.
Oh
It's
wow.
got it's got like 50 something songs on it. It's
Yeah,
really cool.
that's awesome.
Um, but yeah.
Man, I really well, I gotta check that out. I haven't listened to the Black Keys in a little bit. Definitely kind of fell off the radar. I know they've been pumping out more albums, but none of them have really interested me. But
Mhm.
definitely might have to go check out that 10th anniversary release of El Camino. So
Yeah,
I
I will
wish.
say what you start.
Well, I was gonna say I wish bands would tour albums more. Like Modest Mouse just announced, and I'm gonna hopefully be going to this. They're doing a 25th anniversary tour for probably their best record, The Lonesome Crowded West.
Hmm.
And I wish more bands would do something like that. You know, if you're gonna celebrate, you're gonna put out a box set. You should go tour that album. You know, like you should go tour the whole record. I don't know
Yeah.
if Black Keys did that. I'm not sure. Um, I I feel like that would be up their wheelhouse to do, especially because that record is really significant. I would say in their discography and to their
Hmm.
careers. But
No, they didn't tour.
mm,
They didn't uh retour
mm,
this El Camino.
yeah,
They did. They just dropped an album this past summer.
yeah,
Um,
Dropout Boogie.
Dropout Boogie.
Yeah,
It's all right. It's not the greatest.
yeah. Haven't listened to it. Not
It's
really
yeah.
interested, but
I don't think they'll have any number ones off of it, unfortunately.
yeah.
Um, they did release last year a little cover album called Delta Cream.
I did see that. I didn't know it was a cover
Really,
album though.
it's a cover album.
Okay,
All like blues songs.
okay.
Really
Like much earlier Black
like
Keys, which
uh,
they
like
have a couple of really good covers.
all these songs are like mad old
Yeah.
and really really interesting to hear.
Hmm.
Because it's very simple.
Yeah.
It's all very simple. And the first song, actually, it's called "Crawling King Snake." It is I think like a 7 or 8 minute song of them just jamming.
Oh, that's sick. I love that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
I gotta check
Um,
that out too.
Definitely check that out. Well, it is that time. Gabe, what is your number one?
My number one song. Uh, it wasn't hard to pick. It was in a little bit. I don't know. Not sure. Um, I'm not going to cut around the bush too much. I chose Radiohead.
Hmm.
As many people will know me, I'm a huge Radiohead fan. I love Radiohead. My dad listened to Radiohead when I was younger. I didn't quite get it.
Yeah.
And then when I was in like college, I listened to it and I was like, where has this been all my life? A lot of people know Radiohead as the Creep band. They are one of those rare cases, man. They had a huge, massive hit in
Yep.
the 90s and they did not burn out. They didn't burn out. They didn't get caught under that weight. They did they just grew. They got bigger. And the song I chose in particular is a song called House of Cards, and it's off of uh their 2007 album In Rainbows, which I would say is my favorite Radiohead album. It is it's a nonstop bop after bop after bop after bop. And I will say this, Radiohead is another band that is an instance for me where they don't have a bad record. I used to think that they have a bad record, but even their first album that has Creep on it has really good tracks on it. You know, I wouldn't say they have a particular like they have I would say, you know, maybe their debut is like their weakest. You know, and then they just got better and better over time. But I wouldn't say there's a bad Radiohead album at all. I think
Hmm.
Radiohead makes great records. That being said, and again, controversial opinion because Radiohead came out with an album that maybe some people might have heard of. It's called OK Computer. It's listed as the most important album of the 90s. I don't agree. As much as I love Radiohead, I want to say that the most important album of the 90s is Nevermind. Um, but uh, it is a great album, OK Computer. But In Rainbows, to me, it's like the antithesis of all the things that they were doing beforehand. Where after OK Computer, they did a full jump into electronic music and like just a full 180. And instead of doing an OK Computer follow up, they came out with Kid A, and then the following year they came out with basically like the Kid A B sides, Amnesiac. The following couple years, they came out with an album that was very politically charged, Hail to the Thief, and it was kind of like a mixture of rock and electronica, but they didn't quite hit the stride on there. It's a great album, but In Rainbows is like the perfect intermarriage of everything that Radiohead was doing over those years, over that like I would say that like 6 to 7 year span. Fun fact about this album: this is an album that pioneered pay what you want music. Radiohead decided to put this album out on their website by themselves. I'm pretty sure their contract with, I think it was EMI, was up,
Mm.
and they put this album out, and they basically put it on their website, and they said, "Pay what you want, pay $1, pay $100," and I'm pretty sure it's one of their best selling albums because of that. They did really well for themselves, and now pay what you want music is not uncommon. You can do that on Bandcamp for a lot of independent artists. That is an option to do. Pay what you want for music.
This one time at Bandcamp?
Yeah, this one kind of Bandcamp. No, Bandcamp like the website. But yeah, it's a great album. I love every song, but I chose House of Cards just because it has a special place in my heart. It is connected to a lot of late night drives when I was younger, when I first got my car,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of a time in my life where, uh, you know, it's a time where you're younger and you don't really know a lot about love. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very confusing time in your life. Um, you're kind of, there's a lot of unrequited love. You fall in love easily with people. You get crushes. You're kind of still just out of high school. You're confused. Your brain is confused. You feel a lot of emotions. And I feel like House of Cards in particular, In Rainbows I would say mostly a song about, it's an album about love. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
love songs on this album. A lot of great love songs. Nude, All I Need, Jigsaw Falling into Place. But this song in particular, I feel definitely encompasses the feeling of unrequited love, of like teenage love. The song is about infidelity, and open relationships, and a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about unrequited love. The chorus is "Forget about your house of cards, and I'll do mine." Um, I would say the house of cards probably representing the complexities of your personal life, and not bringing that into. And that's another thing: when you're younger, you deal with a lot of relationships where it's just based around sex. It's based around. It's purely. It is. You have friends with benefits types things, and that also spoke to me on a level too, because I dealt with situations like that. Um, it's a great song. It's so atmospheric. The way that Tom York uses his vocals in the background is great. It's very melancholic. It's also very psychedelic. It's very spacey. Um, I don't know. I don't have too much to say else. There's a music video for it. It uses lidar technology. It's really cool.
That's cool.
Um, but it's one of my favorite Radiohead songs. I can't say it's my favorite. I don't know. I'd have to do some more complex thinking about it. Maybe down the line, if we talk about Radiohead as like a topic, even though I know you're not a huge Radiohead fan, but down the line, if that becomes a
Mm-hmm.
topic, maybe I would be able to get into it. But off the top of my head, it was the first thing that popped in. I love this song. I love what it means to me. And even though I don't really deal with those issues anymore, it can it reminds me of that time, and I look back on that time almost fondly, because
Mm-hmm.
that's some of the best time of your life is when you're screwing things up and you're figuring things out, especially when it comes to love. But
So would you think that that this album specifically is a good starting point for someone who's
yes,
new to listening?
absolutely.
Like me, for instance. Like
I would
what would you
say
recommend to me?
I would say, because I know you're not a huge Radiohead fan, I would say for sure this album should be your introductory point to Radiohead. I listened to Radiohead. I knew several songs off some of the albums, but I started from the beginning, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not for everybody because their debut is a little harsh. There are some definitely, and it's kind of funny when you listen to their debut versus like the latest album they put out, which was 2016's A Moonshaped Pool, how far they've come and how different they've been, and how they've evolved and changed. But I would say for sure, if you like, if you're interested in getting into Radiohead, In Rainbows is the album that I think you should listen to. I think it has enough musical dynamics on it to kind of give you a taste of
Mm.
what Radiohead's about. That you could then go back from there and maybe listen to OK Computer. You could listen to Kid A. You could listen to some of their work that's a little more divisive, and go from there. And I think it'd be a great starting point for you if you want to get into Radiohead.
You know what? I do want to try.
Hmm.
It's see, you said that I wasn't a big fan, but
Yeah,
the truth is, I don't. I just never listened to them.
yeah,
You know, like maybe I've heard the couple songs that I've heard in your car or at a party, but
yeah.
I've never actually listened to an album. I've never really
God,
sat down and listened or put in my car and just listened to a Radiohead song. Um,
yeah.
Besides actually listening to this song.
What did you think about it? Because I don't. I mean, you might have heard it before, but that would have been years ago. But
Mhm,
as somebody who's like, because normally what we do for the show is Friday nights we like compare the songs that we put together. For this episode, we kind of wanted to keep it a little more secretive, as kind of like a cool opening episode to give it a little more excitement. But normally we convene and we make the playlist about Friday night. So,
mhm.
like, what did you think about it as somebody who's not a huge Radiohead listener? I'll say.
Well, I will say, the one thing that I really took away, and it was because I'm wearing a nice pair of headphones right now,
Hmm.
is there's like a very interesting background noise.
Hmm.
Have you ever picked up? It's very like, I don't know if it's a rumbly bass or something, but it kind of had like an apocalyptic sound behind it. Even though it's very quiet, it
Yeah,
kind of has that
it's
like rumbling.
I don't know if it's just like a texture maybe that they used from like a synth if they built a
Mhm.
sound. I'm going to assume that's what it was. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. It kind of
They
almost sounds like the rolling of waves, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very it's just really really complex and cool.
Yeah.
And uh I don't know if you'll hear it if you're in a car or if you're like playing out of nice big speakers, but when I had my headphones on and I was listening to it, I definitely picked up on it.
Yeah.
Really really cool.
Hmm.
I really found it enjoyable. And from listening to that one song, I do want to go and listen to this album now. Um
All right.
yeah, I
Sure. Absolutely. I think you
I just
should.
I want to try.
Yeah.
I'm always both of us we're always trying new music. That's kind of why we wanted to start this too.
Yeah.
To introduce people to newer music, older music. A lot of people our age, may not know all the classics. I'm pretty good with the classics as well as you.
Yeah.
But we have our interesting flavors of new stuff
Yes.
that
Yes.
people may
Absolutely.
not know. And this, it's like 14 years old, right? This album or whatever.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It
Probably
is
14, 15 years old, 2007,
it would be
right? Yeah,
trying to think.
15.
It would be no, it would be trying to use my head. It's definitely it's actually going to be it'll be 16 years old next
Well,
year.
it's 15 now.
It's
That's what
fit.
I'm saying.
Wow, In Rainbows is 15 this year. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, damn.
that's what I was trying to say.
Woo! Okay, wow, that's crazy, man. That's
Yeah.
insane. But
But I do have to say, for everyone listening, I let's just say I listened to Radiohead for the first time, and that was tonight, or whatever.
yeah.
I would go check them out after hearing the song. It's very very cool.
Okay.
So
I like that.
it's a very respectable number one, I will
Yeah.
say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And listen, it wasn't easy. And in a way, these are in no particular order, but uh I
Yeah,
just I knew they were gonna live on this list, and
yeah.
and I wanted them to be my number one. I wanted this song to be my number one because
Hmm.
the song does mean a lot to me. But yeah, getting off that, if you have nothing else to say, Jesse,
Yeah,
rounding out this list, okay? This is it.
yeah.
What is your number one song,
So
Jesse?
okay, so I cheated a little bit.
Okay.
I cheated because this is my number one.
Okay.
Like of all time.
Of all time.
All time. This is I left it for number one, even
Okay.
though the rest was no particular order. This is my number one favorite artist,
Mm-hmm.
and it is four British guys, and they were known as
The Rolling
John George.
Stones.
No, John George, Paul, and Ringo, aka the Beatles,
Ah, the Beatles.
the Beatles. They
Yes.
are my favorite band of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they are, you know, steeped in pop culture,
Yes.
um, as one of the most influential bands of all time as well. I mean, there's nothing really that you can say about the band that hasn't been said already, besides the fact that these four unique individuals came together and founded something insanely epic
Yeah.
for years.
They're the
And
Avengers of
they
music.
really are. They
Yeah.
really are. And my song that I chose, um, one of my it is my favorite Beatles song, and
Mm-hmm.
it's Helter Skelter.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
see,
Off of the 1968 album The Beatles, aka the White Album.
I knew you chose a White Album song, and I was trying to guess so hard
Mm-hmm.
what you were gonna choose, and it makes a lot of sense, but also didn't think it would have been your choice.
Yeah,
But
man.
still,
This
what
song,
a great track.
you know what? I will say, I have a very weird relationship with this album because when I was younger, I wasn't really into this album.
Mm-hmm.
Something didn't click with me.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I would just listen to this album and feel something when I will listen to this whole epic album, right? There's so
Mm-hmm.
many, this is their longest album.
Yes.
And Helter Skelter is such a crazy cool rock song, you know? And it is for popular like music historians and stuff like that, they key this as the influence for the development of heavy metal. Now, I don't know if you ever heard that or have,
Yeah, I can corroborate that. This is an early
this is
sighting of
one of the starts of heavy metal.
Paul McCartney is one of the great grandfathers of heavy metal.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think so. Um, it's actually really funny how he came about writing this song.
Uh-huh.
So Pete Townsend of the Who was quoted in saying that they had just he had just wrote a Who track that was the most rambunctious rock and roll song and the dirtiest song that they've ever done. Paul McCartney heard that and he said, "Well, reading those lines fired my imagination, and I wanted to do the loudest and dirtiest thing we could ever do."
Hmm.
So he went to the studio and told the rest of the guys, "Look, Pete said this, and I have this song that I want to do, but we got to do it dirtier than theirs." And then that's how they just created this massive sound that they had going. And I just think that's funny how Pete Townsend, they did their song with the Who, and Paul heard that. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna one up him. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do like the sweatiest rock number that we could come up with.
Excellent.
Yeah. Um, Metallica uh, has been in the pop culture recently because of Stranger Things.
Hmm.
They are they they are quoted in saying that Helter Skelter is what helped influence them uh, with a bunch of their music, and as well as Black Sabbath and a bunch of those early rock bands that are more heavy.
Yep.
Um, but Helter Skelter is right up there with their kind of influences as well. So, Gabe, what do you have to say about Helter Skelter?
I got blisters on me fingers. Man, what can't you say about this song? This song is so influential. It's one of the best Beatles songs. It is such a great track. I remember listening to this song when I was a kid because my parents they might have screwed up raising me a couple times, but they did do one thing right, and they raised me off of the classics. And I remember listening to this album. My dad put this on my iPod, and I was listening to this song, and
Mm-hmm.
it blew my little mind when I was a kid. I was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy. This is insane." Um, it is culturally, it's also an important song because I'm pretty sure that this was a song that was a direct influence on a. You might know this guy,
Oh,
kooky dude. He had a family of people. Some could say a cult. His
yeah,
name rhymes with Schmarl Schmanson. And there were a couple murders that happened where that lyric was written on the wall.
yeah.
And
I didn't want to bring that up, but I'm glad you
I
did.
think I think it's important to talk about it. I think it's actually very interesting because it just goes to show the reach of the Beatles. I think the
Hmm.
Beatles, I you know it. I don't want to say that they're the best, but honestly, when you think of the best in your mind, the Beatles pop in your head.
Yeah.
I don't think there has been another band that has been so culturally significant to music
Mm-mm.
today, to music of after them, their solo careers, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, the world. I mean, think about it like this, right? Helter Skelter, Charles Manson thought that Helter Skelter was about a race war that was going to happen, that it was a
Yeah.
secret song about a race war. It's not, as you guys know, but he thought that it was about the impending race war. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, when the Manson family, not Charles Manson, but his followers, went and murdered Sharon Tate and a couple of her friends and family members, that was on the wall. That was the death of the 60s, was Helter Skelter, the era of peace and love. That
Yeah.
was when it died, right there, when Charles Manson. So it's crazy to think that the Beatles have almost a reach of influence like that, that they are that culturally significant. They're a part of one of the craziest cultural moments in history.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking about this song. This song's so chaotic, it's hectic, it's heavy. The screaming, the banging of the drums, the wailing guitars. Again,
The
Ringo at
same
the
like
end.
3 or 4 chords just going.
Exactly. It's droning, it's driving. It is the precursor to heavy metal, and I love it. I think it is an amazing track, especially on an album that there's so much going on.
Yeah. There's so
And
many tones.
yeah,
There's slow, there's fast, there's happy, there's sad.
yep,
There's so much going on,
yeah,
and then you just get this one song that is so unique
yep,
from every other Beatles song. Some people say, a few songs kind of sound similar, or like they all kind of have a little bit of the same tone,
yep.
but this specific song, it's so completely different,
I know
you know?
but I will say, I mean, it's I think I would honestly, it's probably also, I would say it's my favorite record of, or my favorite song on the White Album.
Hmm.
Um, Context, for people who are going to listen to this and then maybe go check out the playlist.
Which you should do.
You should definitely do it. I also put the Beatles in my top 10. Uh, I didn't want to lie. I'm not going to lie just because somebody else chooses another song. That's never something I'm going to do. And I'd be totally lying if I said that the Beatles weren't one of my favorite bands of all time, although I don't listen to them as much now. Growing up, they had such an influence on me. They have an influence on music that I make, on music that I've listened to. You'll see the song in there that I chose, but very tonally different from Helter Skelter. Uh,
Yes.
but yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I also put a
And
Beatles song in the playlist so people aren't confused.
yeah. And the really cool thing that they're doing right now, Giles Martin is the son of George Martin, who was the Beatles producer for a long time
Some would
until
say
they
the fifth Beatle.
some would say the fifth Beatle,
Yes.
yes. And his son, and the rest of the Beatles and the estates, they have decided over the past few years to remix and re-release their latest, their later albums in the discography. And they started off with Sergeant Pepper's. They did the White Album next. Then they did Abbey Road, and then they did Let It Be.
Mm,
All these mixes are are incredible.
yes.
They bring the sounds of the 60s to today with the technology that they're using to mix, to remix these sounds. It's just beautiful, and especially, you know what the biggest difference is? I think you'll agree with me. Is on Sergeant Pepper's. It's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Yes.
The I don't know what happened,
The
but when they
pitch.
remixed the song,
Yeah.
it's got a different pitch,
Yeah, it's got a
and it's
different pitch to it.
so nice. It's such a refreshing sound.
And on She's Leaving Home too, I feel also
Hmm.
has a different pitch as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, the mastering that they're doing now to those albums, the remastering is incredible. The work that
Yeah,
Giles Corey does is just
Giles Martin.
Giles Martin. Why did I say Giles Corey? I don't know why I said
I
that.
don't know who that is,
I can't remember where Giles Corey is from. It's somewhere in the back of my memory.
but they
But yeah,
so
Giles
from
Martin, yeah, the work that he's doing is incredible, and also I think really important too because these albums. I mean, listen, you can go back and listen to the original mixes, and they sound great. Okay, these songs still sound good, but I think for the at least for the conservation of music and music
mhm,
history, having better sounding versions of these songs and
mhm,
better mastered versions is important. Some people may call it a money grab. It's just like, oh yeah, every 5 to 10 years, the Beatles can just put out a brand new remastered album and they can
mhm.
do a whole new box set. And it's like, this is the unreleased 320 studio hours, and there's one moment with Paul Fawts in it, and
Yeah,
yeah, and you can buy the vinyl version of it for two
yeah.
hundred bucks.
See, but this is the cool part, right? Is they've had like remasters in the past,
Yep,
and they sound fine, whatever. But these are actually being brought back into the studio and remixed.
yeah,
The original tapes being put through the machines and the new mixing is happening. So you're getting the right, the left sounds all centered, and
yep.
all mixed with so for instance in October they're releasing the Revolver album. Is there
So
one that they're
excited.
doing that specifically has Taxman on it.
Oh
That's the
yes.
first that's the first song on the album. And listening to it with headphones again, you could hear the difference because in the remastered version, the music is still very much panned right and left. So you have all of the instruments on the right side, excuse me, and then you have all of the vocals on the left. And it sounds really weird with headphones. In a car it might sound better and things like that.
Hmm.
But then I switched it over to the 2022 remix,
Hmm.
and oh my god, it's beautiful. The way they mixed it, it's all centered. You could hear every little detail of every hidden guitar note in the background. And Giles Martin actually for this album coming up, they used the technology that Peter Jackson's company came up with for what they call demixing.
Hmm.
So what they're doing is they're taking the original four tracks and they're putting it into this computer system where the computer can actually pull apart each individual track
Yeah,
that's
which is
that's maybe layered. So
crazy.
if you have Ringo and Paul on one track playing bass and the drums, the computer actually could take apart the sound and split the one tape into two tapes and to have just isolated bass and just isolated drums.
That's
And they're calling it
amazing.
demixing.
That
And
is
that's how they're
amazing.
going about for Revolver. And now that this technology is now being used and implemented for the Beatles, Peter Jackson said that he doesn't want to use this technology for anyone else. He says because he just did worked on the documentary, the Let It Be documentary called Get Back on Disney Plus.
Which I hate to interrupt, but I don't know if you saw he won Emmy for.
Yes,
He did. He
they
won.
they won five. They won
Yes,
all
they won
five that they
five
were
Emmys,
nominated for.
and I'm sure Jesse was going to say it, but I'll just say it. Go watch it if you're any
Yes,
piece of a Beatles fan. It is so
eight
interesting.
hours,
It's
eight
such a great,
hours of
insightful look.
8 hours of beautiful content.
Yep.
Um, where was I going? Oh, the demixing.
Yes.
So Peter Jackson has said that he doesn't want anybody else using the technology, which I think is kind of funny. He says, "I love the Beatles too much. This technology is for them," and this is going to help remix all the songs that are from their earlier catalog, which is crazy because the technology got better when they were recording Sergeant Pepper's and the later albums, but now that they're done with the later albums, now they have to go backwards if they're going to do this. and this technology is just going to help them get the sounds to where they need to be. They may not do it with all of the albums because maybe some of them are just too hard to do, maybe like their first album or whatever. But Revolver, Magical Mystery Tour, and Rubber Soul, those three need to be loved as well. And I think hopefully next year they have either Magical Mystery Tour or Rubber Soul,
Mm-hmm.
because I think those really should get some love too. Um, with these re-releases though, they're insanely popular. They're putting the Beatles back into pop culture with these giant super deluxe is what they call them, albums,
Yeah.
where they show the tapes, the studio sessions. Even in 2019 they released Come and Get It, the Paul McCartney song
Oh yes.
that he sold. Do you remember what the name of the band is that he sold to?
Badfinger.
Badfinger.
Yep.
The Badfinger song Come and Get It is actually a Beatles song.
Yep.
Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney
And
just gave it away, and it's one of Badfinger's most popular songs.
it is their most popular song.
He has a history of doing that, just giving away like songs that he's written for free, and then it ends up becoming the top hits.
And it's so sad, but
yeah.
it blew my mind because I never knew it. I never knew it at the time.
Yeah, no.
I don't know if you did.
I knew it, but I will say that even the Beatles demo version of it is no hate to Badfinger. Okay,
It's better.
Badfinger's decent, but it's so much better, and it's
Yeah.
so good, and it would have worked so well on Abbey Road, but
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love Helter Skelter. I'm glad you put that on there. That's a great choice.
It's a good choice.
But listen, let's wrap this up. All right, I think we're slowly approaching an hour and a half here, which is crazy because time flies by when you're having fun. But
this is true.
Thank you so much. If you're listening for the first time, me and Jesse both really appreciate it. This is a labor of love for the both of us. We've, like we said, we spent the past couple weeks kind of developing everything for this show, and we really hope it works out. We love feedback, so I would love to hear more from the audience. You can follow us on Instagram, like I said earlier, at YSMS_podcast. Feel free to DM us.
Definitely DM us.
Yeah, definitely DM us.
Rate the podcast on, I don't know if you could rate on Spotify, but I know you can on Apple.
Yeah,
give us a rating.
Comment. Like I said, we want constructive feedback. What can we do that's better? What do you like? What do you hate?
Give us topics that you want to talk about.
Yes, give us topics. I mean, we have a huge topic list.
We actually have a full year of topics.
Yes.
So if you want to see yours on the show, send it over to us because maybe we'll take it.
Yep. But definitely, we want involvement, and thank you again. Thank you for listening. Next week, our next topic,
it's a good one.
It's a good one. It is a good one. I'll just say this, people. Summer is closing. It's getting to an end, and another season fast approacheth. And me and Jesse, we're gonna have a playlist put together for you that I think is pretty good.
Why don't you tell them what the topic is?
It's gonna bring you. Oh well, it's gonna be fall music. It's gonna be music for the fall.
Music that reminds us of the fall season.
Of the fall season. Music that brings a little of that fall. Those leaves are getting brown and changing. It's getting cold.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. Thank you again so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All right, bye everybody.
If you want to listen to the songs we discussed as well as other picks for today's episode, a playlist is linked in the description below. Make sure to subscribe, like, rate, and leave a comment. Follow us on Instagram at YSMS_podcast. And thank you again for listening to the Your Song, My Song podcast. See you next week.